Check the description for the following discount codes. When I reviewed this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, I had quite a few people in the comments say to me, it's a shame they didn't make this a foldable cockpit, Cole. Doesn't look like it would be that hard to have done. And I thought, you know what, you're absolutely right. As soon as they said it to me, because of the way it sort of comes semi-assembled, this wheel deck sort of assembly is folded down anyway, as is the seat. And I thought, well, do you know what? A couple of quick modifications and this can be a foldable cockpit. So that's what I've done. We'll look at the foldable nature first. Oh, but actually, one of the other things someone said to me was, and I did mention this in the review at the time, can you put casters on it so you can wheel it out of the way? And I said, yes, you can. In the original video, I said yes. And I fitted casters to it. So literally, you can just wheel it off wherever you might need it to go. That also comes into play when we make it foldable and you want to tip it up on its end and wheel it out the way. But I'll show you that in a minute. First of all, let's show you what I've removed and what I've fitted. There was 4 bolts and yeah, let's do a close-up of this, I think. So there was 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4 the other side, that you can now see that I've replaced with thumb screws. That's all we needed to do to make this foldable, because it hinges on the top 2 bolts anyway. So by simply removing the bottom 2, it allows the whole upper assembly to fold down, which I'll show you in a second. Here is one of the caster wheels. There's 6 in total because they replace the original feet that are on here. This does, of course, raise it up and make it a little less stable on carpet. Wouldn't be an issue on a hardwood floor, but you don't have to use casters anyway, and I'll talk about that in a second. And one of the other questions I got asked was, can you fit the wheel deck the other way round? As in, will these bolts that are under here, if we swap this plate round 180 degrees, will they line up? And the answer is yes, they will, but what you'll see is instead of the wheel deck offsetting by whatever that is, 4 or 5 inches this way, it would then be offset 4 or 5 inches to the left, making your wheelbase sit here, which might then make your steering wheel too far away from your driving position. But you can certainly try, because it's just a case of when you assemble it, putting it on the other way round. The other question I got asked was, can this whole tubular assembly section be slotted in 180 degrees, again to flip this around the other way, but leaving it on its bracket in this direction for adjustment as it comes, because when you flip this round up here, the adjustment then works in the opposite direction. The answer to that is no, because if you look, we have inset nuts here behind this one and behind this one, and they would then of course point out the front of the rig, and there's no slots in the front of the rig to be able to put bolts through and adjust your height. So no, you can't swap the whole assembly round, but yes, you can swap that around. So now let's cut back to me demonstrating how we actually sort of fold this down using those thumb screws. Oh, actually, something else I'll show you before we do that. You'll know how to do this if you buy it anyway, because it's how you assemble it. But to fold the seat down, you lift the main flap, open these 2 flaps, and there is just a bolt, one here and one here. And all you do is lift them up, and then the seat can fold forward. Again, I'll show you that now anyway. So yeah, what I did was remove the 4 bolts that were originally in the bottom of these uprights, removed the 6 feet that originally came on the cockpit, and then replaced them, as you see in that clip, with caster wheels and thumb screws. Now those thumb screws on there, I actually think would be better off being this type. I only had one of these lying around, which is why I've used the other ones, because you can get more torque on these, and so you can do it up that bit tighter. Still the same M8 thread and go straight in, just like those thumb screws do, but those ones, you can get your hand on it and you can get a reasonable amount of torque, but these, you can really, lean some weight into it and get them up tight. So I would recommend using these ones over those ones, although it's perfectly sturdy with those, to be honest, so it almost doesn't matter. And what I'll do is I'll link some Amazon links to both this type and that type in case you happen to have a preference. But either work, either fit, it's really no difference. And I'll link to the caster wheels as well. Now, for the main event then, let's fold it away. Imagine I've just been racing, I remove my quick release wheel, although you can probably leave it on because it's just going to be pointing up in the air. And then we undo our thumb screws. So this obviously isn't the quickest, but I mean, that's them two undone. Doesn't take particularly long. And once they're undone, like so, you can then just fold your wheel deck down like that. It's literally made for it. And as I say, you could leave your steering wheel on the top if you want. No real reason to take it off, to be honest. Just looks a bit slimmer without it. And then put your little thumb screws wherever you want. Leave them on the seat, I suppose, would probably work. And you would come around to the back of the seat, and as I showed in that clip earlier, lift your main flap, spread your side flaps, lift your two bolts up, and there we go. The seat is folded down. Tidy your flaps away because no one likes untidy flaps, and you can quote me on that. And now we have our Victory cockpit folded away. Now, as far as sliding it around, I mentioned this one's on casters, obviously. That makes it super easy because you can just pick it up and it's going to wheel its way around on the caster wheels that I have fitted. But if you are on carpet, you don't actually need to fit caster wheels because this sort of tubular construction slides really, really well on carpet anyway. Caster wheels make it a bit easier, of course, but you don't have to. As far as like putting it fully upright, I'm going to be limited by the height of your wheelbase, as you can see there. If I was to actually try and go upright, it's going to start opening up again like that. I mean, you could store it like that if you want, I suppose. But, you know, if you want it super slim, then you would go like that. Now, you might be thinking perhaps put it up the other way, Carl. And we'll try that. But the issue with that is everything wants to fall this way, doesn't it? Because that's the way we've folded it. So let's just see whether it would stay in this position. So the seat's going to go, and if I let go of the upright section for the wheel deck, that's going to go as well. Now you could just strap it into place like we see with that GT Amiga Sprint that I reviewed the other day, and that would stop this happening. And you could do the same with the seat as well, and then it is a little bit slimmer for storage. But I would probably, for the sake of speed and ease of use, probably just tip it up the other way, because then you haven't got to worry about things making their way undone. And if you haven't got a fat old CSL DD on there like me, you'll be able to get it up higher. Or even if, you know, you want to have something big like a CSL DD, if you do strap that end and it keeps it tight, you could probably rest it on the CSL DD like that, if need be. So that's how to make your Victory cockpit foldable. And if we wanted to put it back again, we do the opposite to what I just did. Open our flaps in a tidy and orderly fashion, slot our bolts back in, close our flaps, also in a tidy and orderly fashion. That's the seat done. Put this back up, and then you would just put your thumb screws in. There's one. It's actually pretty quick, isn't it? Assuming you get your threads lined up. There's two. And then 3, 4 on this side as well. So that is pretty nippy. My fourth thumb screw here actually has a longer thread than all the others because it just happens to be what I had lying around. But assuming you don't get one that's longer, you'd already be screwed in because that's me screwed in. But as I say, I would recommend the other type because you can get some more torque on there and really tighten them down in place, you know, a bit like you would if you had an Allen key and were doing the original bolts up. But yeah, I think that works brilliantly. You might need to strap it, as I say, to stop it kind of swinging open, but depending where you're putting it, if you're putting it into a cupboard or behind a sofa or in the corner of the room, pardon me, you might be able to just slide it or wheel it into place and it's going to stay there anyway. And yeah, it will vary depending on what wheelbase you've got on here and how high you have that wheelbase also. Now, the other thing mentioned in the comments is, Carl, this cockpit looks great. We can't actually buy it anywhere. And you were absolutely right. For some reason, Next Level Racing decided to launch a cockpit with no availability almost anywhere in the world. Very strange decision, especially so as they delayed my video by a week because of shipping and availability issues. And yet when it launched, there was still no availability. On the Next Level Racing website, it's here, £279. And if you click buy it now, you can't buy it directly from the UK one. It takes you to a list of other places you can try and buy it from, and none of them have any stock. But what I have got is a link to Amazon in the description for the cockpit, because they are currently showing shipping on the 30th of November, 30th of this month. So you can pre-order it from Amazon. And I think that's not a bad idea, because it's going to be a very popular cockpit and stock is probably going to go very quickly. So if it were me, I'd use the Amazon link, get it pre-ordered, and then you know you've got one coming. And as I say, I will also put links to the 6 caster wheels. They are just M8 lockable caster wheels, should you want to search for it yourself. And the thumb screws are also M8, like quick release screws, thumb screws, whatever the phrase on Amazon is, but I'll put some links for both there anyway. So I think that's answered everyone's questions about like swapping the wheelbase direction around, swapping the assembly round, and showing you how quickly and easily you can turn it into a foldable cockpit. I mean, again, I may as well just do it one more time just for fun, because actually I could do with a picture of it in its folded position for my thumbnail for this video. So let's do it again. Thumb screws out, wheelbase down, open my flaps, slide up my bolts, seat down, neatly stow my flaps. And there we go. Next Level Racing Victory foldable modification. As always, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.